Hello everybody, my name is Matt Muhammad, and did you know that the first webisode of Don't Hug Me I'm Scared came out? For those who don't know, Don't Hug Me I'm Scared is a TV show created by Becky Sloan and Joseph Pelling. Originally a web show on YouTube with 6 episodes, this show became famous and infamous online due to its appearance as a kid-friendly show like Sesame Street or The Muppets, despite it being the exact opposite, with the end of each episode taking a dark turn that will surely give children nightmares and shouldn't be watched by any child, despite most people calling it their childhood. Anyway, in 2018, it was announced that DHMIS would be coming to television at an unknown date, with a now pirated trailer titled Wakey Wakey. The pilot was shown at the 2019 Sundance Film Festival, and that was all we knew for the next 3 years, with the only footage of the pilot surfacing being low-quality recordings from YouTube. Or iPhones, I guess. This was until June 19th, 2022, where a new trailer was uploaded titled Fly, which announced that the show would be coming on September 2022, and would be airing on the British channel Channel 4 exclusive. Good thing I'm British, and you too can be British with today's sponsor, NordVPN. I'm just kidding, I'm not doing a sponsorship. Actually wait, I don't need a VPN, people have already uploaded this show onto YouTube. Anyway, another trailer came out a few weeks later confirming that the 6 new episodes would be airing starting on the 12th of September, which leads us here. Which is what I would say if the show actually came out on the 12th. It got slightly delayed to the 23rd of September, thanks Elizabeth, but now it's finally here. And now that we're all caught up, it's time to move on to the plot. So the plot is relatively pretty simple. Just like the web show, this show is about 3 characters, Red Guy, Yellow Guy, and Duck, who all live together in the same house. Each episode has a teacher come to basically force them to do something / learn a lesson, or they will just make them stop doing what they're trying to do and just force them to learn the lesson. The teacher will sing the song, and unlike the web show where the song would take up the majority of the episode and then the final few minutes would be all the creepiness and stuff, this show, which is 22 minutes long per episode, has the characters going through the side effects and outcome of the lesson after the song is over, I'm guessing to fill out the runtime, with things slowly getting creepier. For example, in episode 2, Death, Duck dies. He doesn't really die, but whatever. And they spend the first few minutes planning his death / funeral. But after that, the rest of the episode is about Red Guy and Yellow Guy kind of just realizing how Duck is gone and figuring out how to live without him. Or how in episode 3, Family, 2 twins come and basically tell them that they need to have a family. So they go ahead and invite them to their house to see how family works, with all the characters slowly drifting apart and eventually just disappearing. The creepiness has been toned down in this series a bit, but it's still here, don't you worry, you will notice it. Whenever it's Yellow Guy's hand being chopped off, to Duck's heart falling out of his body and becoming a coffin, or to the trio just killing each other in the credits. There isn't much to talk about, mainly considering how the episodes are kind of bare bones and usually have the same setup. So I guess I should move on. Honestly, this is probably the second best thing about the show, and it's the production. The puppets look really good, and it's honestly really cool seeing a full house be made only out of foam, cloth, and other stuff, like how those stuffs are used to create a puppet. It's really nice to see, and it's just eye candy to look at, seeing everything be created from scratch. But the show isn't always just puppets. Every episode, the art style will change for a brief moment. Whenever it's stop motion, claymation, 2D animation, CGI, to even like a full art style change. And it offers a lot of diversity to the show, which I really like, and is why one of the reasons why being backed by a TV show budget can greatly help in your product. A web series can look amazing, don't get me wrong. I'm not even going to try and argue that a web show can't look great, because they do look great. Look at Hazbin Hotels, this thing looks amazing. But there will always be a tiny bit of it being held back due to a budget, especially since most of the time these things are being created by an indie studio. Now, Don't Hug Me I'm Scared was able to push their limits and create something that still holds up years later. But now that they have Channel 4, a big multimedia company backing up the show, it allows them to do way more than they could ever done before. Something like a simple kitchen setup as seen in the original show's episode 1 creativity has now blossomed to this big detailed set with callbacks and new stuff, and it looks really good. And one thing I also noticed was that the puppets have also been slightly redesigned. It's mostly seen in Yellow Guy, who's got a new puppet design, like brighter colors. The mouth mechanism seems to be slightly tweaked, and they give him cheekbones, but I'm guessing to emphasize his naivety. However, there are minor changes to other puppets as well, like Duck's beak seems to be more plastic instead of cloth, and for Red Guy I can't really seem to find any changes. Maybe his eyes are no longer cross-eyed, but there doesn't seem to be much change. I can't really seem to find any. Maybe the color is slightly darker. I could probably keep gushing about this, but instead let's move on to the pros. First things first, The comedy is really good. What the show lacks in pacing, it makes up for with its humor. Them treating death like a birthday party instead of like someone's dying, or how they spend an entire episode trying to open up a family-sized bag of chips, only to finally open it at the end of the episode and only like 2 chips actually appear, is way funnier than it has any right to be. I just really like the use of dark humor here. It actually serves for a purpose as a joke, and not just pure shock value, which I fully appreciate. I rewatched the web show recently, and I realized that there wasn't much humor in the original show, compared to now. Though this might be due to how each episode of the original series was around 2 to 8 minutes long, with most of the episode taking place with a song, so I guess it makes sense why there wasn't much room for humor. I also like the different animation styles and the production value, which I mentioned earlier. I also like how the show doesn't act like the web series doesn't exist or not canon, because the teacher from the original series do make cameos here. Whenever it's the lamp from episode 6 Dreams, telling Yellow Guy about what people think comes after death in episode 2 Death, to the clock from episode 2 just being hung over the fireplace for the entire show, who later makes it full-on a cameo in episode 6 Electricity, along with the notepad from episode 1 Creativity, and the meat guy from episode 5 Healthy Eating. And then there's also the computer from episode 4 Computer, who's just there. He's in episode 4 Friendship, acting as a computer, just a regular computer, and even talks to them, which is pretty cool to see. It's just nice for them to reappear in some way. And other cameos or just like references is how in this show it's technically taking place over June 20th, while in the web show it was taking place over June 19th. I just like that. I also like seeing how the characters are a lot more self-aware than before. Like how Red Guy points out how they're literally living a nightmare in the theme song for episode 4 Friendship. It's nice to see that they aren't completely clueless of what's going on. I also found it funny when Red Guy yells in the series. It doesn't happen too much, it only like appears like 3 times in the entire show. And I feel like that's what makes it better, since it's not overplayed. It's only there for the show really needs it, and because it appears so small and not too much, and it's also spaced out, you do get shocked every time you hear it because you don't expect that from such a calm character. Also, I really like the songs and the music in the show. Less lyrics and more instrumentals. They're so catchy to listen to, and it reminds me of what show I'm watching. I am also a fan of how the horror was toned down. Now, it's not gone, don't get me wrong. The gore, like, the scariness is not gone, it's definitely here. But it doesn't feel like the show is obligated to show it in every episode. Some episodes just don't have gore. Some episodes just end with the characters just being stranded in the middle of nowhere. Or them beating each other to death, that works too. Though some episodes do still harken back to pure horror if that's your thing. If you're a fan who wants them some classic horror DHMIS, then episode 3 Family is just for you. But that's enough of the pros, now onto the cons. Now for the cons. First things first, the pacing is kinda lacking. What I mean by that is how episodes can kinda just drag out and feel like it's long for time. I believe the later episodes do a better job at figuring out what these characters should do after the teacher's song is over, but this problem does affect all episodes in one way or another. They have good pacing for the beginning, but once the song is over, they kinda just continues with no clear goal. I just feel like it would have been better if the show was 11 minutes long instead of 22. The only real exception to this is episode 5, Transportation, mainly considering how the entire episode is Red Guy wanting to break out of the same cycle of the series, and such has them actually doing something via driving a car to a small town. I do think that the humor carries the show, since if there was like no humor in the show, then it would have been a slog to watch. And the lyrics for the song is kinda lacking. Like what I said before, I said I praised the instrumentals, not the actual lyrics. Like, they're just not that good. It's like Webisode 5 Healthy Eating, where the entire song is just filled with repeated lyrics with not much variety. The show can just get pretty repetitive in that. Like how in episode 2 Death, it's just the same lyrics of, we're gonna get things ready for the big day, we're gonna get things ready for the special day. And they repeat that entire song multiple times with only like a few variations. So yeah, you can understand why it could be pretty repetitive for the songs to act kind of like that. And this is also probably due to nostalgia, but I don't know, man, I don't really like the teachers that much. They don't seem as iconic as the web show ones. Like, I just feel like the briefcase or the creepy twins teachers aren't as good as the clock or the computer teachers. This is always subjective though, and my final complaint is how there are 2 jokes about peeing in the show. I didn't need to see that, Becky and Joe. Why would you had to rig up a puppet and make it pee. Why would you do that? You spent time out of your day to make that. You had 3 years to make this show. Is this what you were doing for 3 years? Overall, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is a pretty good show. The only problem I have with it can be fixed if the creators can either A, shorten the show to 11-minute episodes instead of 22 minutes, or B, make the 22-minute episodes flow more smoothly, instead of feeling like it's dragging for time. I would give it an 8 out of 10. Hoping for the show to officially come out to other countries besides the UK though. Well, see you guys in 7 years for season 2 of the show. Also, the creators, if you're watching this, please release the pilot onto YouTube. Please, I don't want this to become lost media. I know you guys don't like the pilot that much, but come on!